Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Clarissa.
Thanks so much. I said to you in the beginning that we're so close because we're both in Miramichi. We're literally like, I don't even think like a half a kilometer away from each other, but we have to do this via Zoom to keep everyone safe. So you are the owner with your wife of River City Fitness.
Yes,
Here in Miramichi. And today is a big day for River City Fitness.
Yeah, today's our 5-year anniversary today. So, I mean, we incorporated probably April or May of 2015, but we never actually got our doors open until December 1st. So we could have been open earlier, but we didn't have any equipment. So we had to wait for the truck to come.
Yeah.
So we're long putting a spit shine on it once it got here. So
that's right. And so congratulations on that accomplishment.
Thank
now, you. When we first started talking, you did say, it feels a little bit bittersweet. You want to, throw off the cannons and like the fireworks, but you're feeling a little bit, like you don't want to not brag, but you don't want to, celebrate too much.
No, I know. Like I said, I'm having a hard time getting into it this year, just like we spoke about earlier. And it's just because like we're always obnoxious about our birthday. Like it's a really big deal to us. We really cashed in our chips to get this business going. Like we cashed in investments, pensions, maxed out credit cards, line of credits, everything we could do. Like the day we opened, we had $300. And you know what? It feels good to say that today. But, we had a few months where we didn't have any payments. So it really helped us, get caught back up.
Right.
We didn't even have a fridge. We had a cooler with water bottles in it. The day we opened, and it just kind of came together from there. But like I said, it sucks to stick. I feel like I'm sticking people's noses and stuff. It's very hard for Canada and the rest of the world the last 8-9 months. So, and I realize we're not celebrating it the way we normally would. I mean, normally we have a big open house, and we want to invite the community in, and we really can't do that this year. And I don't know. We do an annual draw every year, and people get excited about that. And we need to do it because it's been a tradition since we opened. But like I said, I have a hard time celebrating when I know how much bad stuff there is going on in the world, and we'll be extra obnoxious this year. So,
well, I understand what you're saying, but let's walk back those 5 years, or maybe 6 years or 7 years back. I love hearing the stories about behind the business. And so often when we use the word entrepreneur, people think big tech firms somewhere in the States, and they don't think of that, they don't think of those entrepreneurial people in our own communities. So way back before the business, what was Mark Downey doing before he started the gym?
I was the bank manager of Bank of Montreal on Chatham and Water Street. And you know what? It is a job that I wanted from the minute I left university. It took me 14 months to get it. And then I hit a wall. And it was probably the worst job I've ever had in my life. They paid handsomely, and the people I worked for were phenomenal. It's just, you're dealing with people's finances, and you're denying loans and mortgages that you may not necessarily agree with. Like when I moved home, I had a magic button. Like if you called and said, I want to buy a Harley, I could just say, go put it on your credit card. I'll get you a loan when you come home. Yeah. Those days were over. So I'm fighting with a guy in Halifax who already hates me for money for people that are my neighbors, essentially, right? And some people get it, some people didn't. I didn't get a great amount of joy from it. I've been yelled at coffee shops for taking people's houses that I didn't even know we took. So, so the only real thing that I really enjoyed doing, because we had a new family, and we had 2 mortgages on the go because we still had our house in Moncton, and we made time to go to the gym in the morning, and that was it. And you know what? I always thought, I was like, if this is what I could do for a living, I would be happy. So fast forward. Probably, I was there for 5 years, but when Jude was born, I took the parental leave and we built this place. So Amanda wasn't working at the time, so it made sense for me to take it. I mean, it was a bit of a pay cut, but and when I took this leave, I had a better RVP than when I had before. So she told me about all the benefits that I was entitled to, when my first kid was born, they're like, you can have a week off, and then you need to go to Toronto. And it's my first time dad, so that left a sour taste in my mouth. That wasn't the organization. That I had a crooked boss. He's a good dude. I like him. We still get along, but he was a numbers guy. So
and that's what, when we look at entrepreneurial mindset, right? And the World Economic Forum is saying that the entrepreneurial mindset is like the top skill, for this century. Like everyone's going to need to have it. So you were probably sitting there in your office, with this entrepreneurial mindset, just like, busting at the seams, knowing that you wanted to do so much more in the role that you had. But sometimes, you had to stay in that box. So being able to see yourself outside that box was, did you find more joy when you started thinking about starting the gym?
100%. The day I got yelled at the coffee shop, the lady that yelled, so her and her amigos that yelled at me, basically they accused me of taking her house because she was 30 days late on a payment. And like I said, that really bothered me because this lady, I really looked after, but I'm sure she was embarrassed because her mortgage was in the paper.
Right.
So I went home that day and I just couldn't go to work the next day. I just called in sick and I never went to, if I go to work with the flu, it wouldn't matter. If I had work to do. And I called in sick that day and I started looking and we found the building that we're in today. I found it that day.
Yeah.
And by Monday, we had an offer put in with Jesse McKenna.
Yeah.
We bought it with our other company. And now my father has always been an entrepreneur. So I learned a lot from my dad. He worked for DNR and he built chimneys evenings and weekends, so we didn't see him a lot. But he used the money for building building the chimneys. He bought houses. He got into a lot of rentals, and then eventually we took over the ambulance service in Blackfoot, Renews, Boys Town, and Dokdale. So I've always been, and then he's got 2 sports camps also too. But like I said, he did all that with blood, sweat, and tears, literally building chimneys. So once we picked up the building, then it was more and more exciting. Like I went to CBDC immediately, got my business plan, and I bet you I wrote that thing in 10 minutes. But I had to rewrite it because my handwriting's atrocious. But it was just like doing a test in school, right? Because we used to have to do that. I went to St. Mary's. And the closer we got, and I'll never forget the day we got our approval. I mean, it was $150,000, but it was just like $1 million to me.
Right.
So we had quite a bit to juggle. So but we made it work. So, I mean, I'm probably the first person ever to finance a roof, but I had to do it with one of the local contractors. He needed the work and it was too much. It was way too much money for me, but we had a 3-year plan. We paid for it. And that's those stories of I call like the unlikely entrepreneur, right? Or where there was probably many times over the last 5 years that you probably wanted to say, like, are we crazy? Like you and Amanda probably looked at each other and said, like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? Right. Yeah. But you stuck to it and you were knee deep in the mud. Now let's talk about, you're rolling along with the gym and, I mean, River City Fitness is on everyone's lips and minds in Miramichi. And then all of a sudden March 2020 hits and this thing called Corona, hits you and you had to close your doors. Did you take a minute to say we're done, or did you just say what else can we do? Well, I'll tell you, this is what we did. So the minute we had to close, I had this reoccurring nightmare for 4 years because we had a 4-year plan and a 5-year plan. And the 4-year plan, money was tight because, I mean, like our equipment was expensive. We had a lot of leases, just like anybody in a new business. So I had this reoccurring nightmare that either the gym burnt or we had to renovate it. And then we went into work the next day and it's all tore apart and the members were trying to figure out where the equipment is and we have nothing again and we have to start all over. We were hoping to get 10 people through the door the first day that we opened and it was just bananas that day. Like we had probably 12 people at the desk at a time filling out paperwork and it blew our expectations all out of the water. So I had to go out there and lock the door on, I believe it was March 16th, and literally the door lock wasn't working. So I literally had to put like the chain, the big symbolic lock and chain on the door. And I went home and I couldn't process what was happening. Yeah. I was like, okay, so here's my nightmare. We're closing the gym and I got to start all over again. So we had another company that we had just started to build, and that was our Level Up Subs, our supplement company. Realistically, it was just a website. We had all the incorporations done on it. I was actually looking at a building in April, and I'm so glad I didn't buy it because we might have been in trouble if I did. But we were looking at a building in April, and we were going to put the store in. So we went home and we didn't really have any answers. Nobody did. We weren't allowed to go to work. The next day, they're shutting down the rest of the province. And, you know, I just got up every day. You'd get up and you'd wait to hear Justin Trudeau talk at noon, and then you'd go about your day. It was like Mr. Rogers is coming out to, you know, back in the day. So we went home, and I think I sat at the kitchen table for about 3 hours, and I said, well, we can sell supplements and we can sell gift cards. And I said, and that's all we can do. So I went into work the next morning. I took a total inventory of everything we had. I updated our website and we took off. And like I said, I think we were closed for 84 days and I worked 83 of them because people were doing home workouts. A lot of people were giving us handouts, and I'm not gonna, you know, I know a handout when I see one, but you know what? It's why we're here, right? Our community really had our back, and that's really my biggest takeaway from 2020 is because I realized how important this place is to a lot of other people than just me, which I didn't know before, and I realized how many people actually cared about us, like. Sam Johnson is my jiu-jitsu instructor, and he called me wanting to pay my mortgage, and I just couldn't believe it. We took the skip payments like everybody else did, but you know that was a really generous offer. And he didn't know I could have been sitting on $1 million, but he said there's a young family that closed their business, and I'm going to pay their mortgage. Like, and then that's just one example. Like we people that bought gift cards that still haven't used them, and I guarantee you they never will. But we weren't in a position to say no.
And that comes back to that saying that people don't, you know, necessarily, you know, they buy from who they know, right? And they connect with who they know. So, you know, people have connected with you over the last 5 years, and they feel like they go home with you at night. They feel like they're a part of your family. Because realistically, you know, there might be, you know, several other establishments that they could go to, but they choose you because of you and Amanda. So that must have made you feel like, oh, we're going to get through this.
I'll be honest, like the first 36 hours, like I was a disaster because of the amount of people that were reaching out and being like, keep taking my membership. This is temporary. And I was like, I feel bad taking it, but we need to do it. Right. So I was a big disaster for about 36. I felt like a bum. I'll be honest with you. That's exactly how I felt. And then I was like, you know, they're only doing it because they care. They want to keep their gym open. They want to make sure, like, you know, our children aren't hungry. Like, so, you know, we had a lot, and not just one or two. Like, we had a lot. Like, I don't know. I never expected that. Not in a million years. Like I said, if I was in Halifax or Moncton or Calgary, I wouldn't have gotten that. That's something that's very unique to Miramichi for sure.
So, you rallied and you come back, and now you're celebrating 5 years. Mark, what do you think is the biggest lesson that you've learned in the last 5 years as an entrepreneur?
Well, the biggest, well, I never really took biological warfare into account when I did my business plan. You know what I mean? Like, it's important to have saved for a rainy day. Mm-hmm. You should always have a plan B. And, you know, your revenue streams, I wouldn't rely on one. Like when we initially opened, we did gym and tanning. We added the supplements. Since COVID, we are selling more clothing. We're selling masks, which basically, I mean, it sounds kind of ridiculous, but it's what the market's looking for right now. Yeah. We've added a meal prep service from a friend of mine, Nick. He just got his kitchen registered. So he's got meals to go, and they're delicious. Great macros on them. So I guess my biggest lesson that I would learn is you really want to diversify your income streams, because you can't make money on a gym if they're not allowed in it. So, you know, it's that would be it for me, I guess.
Yeah. And so what's next for River City and for Mark and Amanda Downey in 2021?
Well, that's funny, right? Because we have our building plans right here on the wall.
Yeah.
So our 5-year plan, our 4-year plan was we wanted to get stuff paid for. Our 5-year plan is we wanted to save money for an expansion.
Mhm.
So we've negotiated with United Rentals, and Breakwater is actually drawing up our plans, which the final touch on these, which we should have in the next week or two. So we are adding about 1,500 square feet for classes. The first of which we're going to offer is spin. My wife has been into spin since probably June or July, since we went on lockdown, because I wouldn't let her come to the gym when we were closed because there were so many people paying for it. I said, we're not using it either. I said, we're going to gain 20 pounds and they're going to see how fat I got, and they're going to be like, you know what, he's in it. He's with it. He's with me on this. So
Yeah.
Amanda will probably do more on our live announcement tonight, but we've got 20 really nice bikes on order. I'm literally just waiting for the plans and the okay from the planning commission to start going, and that'll be the first thing. We're probably going to stick with spin till summer because with COVID, the extra 1,500 square feet, the members can use the room for their circuits and their Tabata, and square footage is king, and we're getting into our busy season. So if everybody has more room, I think that'll be beneficial to the club. And then we hope to increase our offerings by summer. But like I said, the main focus is now, my wife is got a pretty good spin team lined up, and I believe they're going to be offering a lot of classes. I thought I seen the schedule. It said something like 6 classes a day, but I don't know. I'm trying to stay out of this one. I'm going to build it and she's going to run it. So she wants a full-time job. So this would allow her to do that.
And so, you know, I mean, this has been an amazing conversation, you know, from somebody who's involved in the community to you who have such a huge part in the community. Congratulations on your 5-year anniversary. And I wish you all the best for 2021 with no more shutdowns.
You know what? I think we're going to be okay. Like, you know, I feel like I have COVID overdraft now that we're included in the orange sector. So 2 of my 3 changes we're already doing now. So we just have to rope off part of the locker rooms and we're going to be okay. But what happens then is your attendance drops off. And then, you know, people are buying less water and it's kind of depressing if the gym's empty. So, but I think we're going to be okay. Like I've been following the news quite a bit, and you know, they're going to have some FDA approvals for some treatments and some vaccines. And if we can just get her back into yellow and those other zones that are surrounding us, I think we'll be all right. But
awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mark. I appreciate your time this morning. Go enjoy your anniversary celebrations.
I'm going to turn it around today. I'm going to thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you.